Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Quick question for you. At the end of a long day, where do you normally find yourself? Most people at the end of the day look like this. You get home, you kick off your shoes, you grab a bunch of food, and you hop onto the couch and start watching TV. Well, if you're like most Americans, you probably tune in to your favorite news station. These are our top three news stations in terms of popularity: ABC, CBS, and NBC. Together, they see about 35 million viewers daily. Um, there's a few other big news networks that aren't quite so big, but they're also very popular, such as Fox News and CNN. Growing up, they always give you these slogans, these news channels, saying most trusted news source, bringing you the facts, the most watched news source, and all these types of slogans that make you kind of feel like you can trust them. But growing up, my parents, they always had this, I almost want to call it a ritual. What they do is every night at 6 p.m. every evening, they go on and watch evening news, but they wouldn't ever stay on the same station for more than about 10 minutes. They'd flip-flop between stations, go all the way around. Eventually, I asked them, hey, why are you doing that? And they told me the reason is because news stations can be biased, and the only way to get the real information is to take snippets of all of them and put them together and find the middle ground. That had a pretty big impact on me, and I came to realize that it is true. News sources do have political biases. Now, I don't really have a problem with them having biases. They can have their own opinions. That's okay. That's what the press is for. But what I do have a problem with is when they tell the world that they're not being biased. They say that they're being objective news, when they're clearly not. They're clearly being biased. And so the press should be transparent in their political biases. They should tell us when they're being biased and when they're giving opinions and when they're giving fact. And they should own up to it. They should really be responsible for it. We shouldn't have to rifle through their different stations to try to find what the truth is. We should know going in where their biases lie. Now, I have some examples of when the news media has been biased in the past. The first one comes when in 2017, our president Donald Trump, he moved the Israeli embassy, he moved it from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That is an issue that has been brought up since World War II. That's something that the United States said we'd do for 60 years now, and we never actually ended up doing it until just recently, 3 years ago. And that's a big story. That's something that should be reported. That should be something that we all should know. Many of you probably didn't even hear about this. And so what happened is none of these news sources that you see here in front of you, not a single one of them reported on this. Not a single one of them had a news broadcast in which they talked about this. Here's the proof. I looked this up on Google. I just typed it in, and well, this is the result. You see here, if you're looking at all these websites, you never see ABC, NBC, Fox News, CNN. You don't see a single one of them. And it's kind of surprising. I went through, because I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I went through 20 pages worth of this Google search, didn't find them, not once. So this is a clear indication that our news sources can be a little bit biased sometimes, in that they'll completely skip over world events. Another example of this was the known Russiagate scandal. You've probably all heard of Russiagate, something that happened in 2016, in the election year 2016. What happened is Donald Trump there's allegations that came through that he was in cahoots with Russia, and that Russia was going to bug the polling system of the United States to get Trump to win. That's what the theory was. So everybody got so riled up about it. The news media went crazy with it. So the United States FBI, the entire agency, went in and investigated it, and they found zero evidence at all whatsoever. Nevertheless, the news media blew this up, and they blew it up not just for the election year, but they kept on with it for about 2 years afterwards. In 2018 is when they finally stopped reporting on the Russiagate scandal. And this is kind of crazy. This was evidence of a bias, in that the news media blowing up a story to be something way bigger than what it actually is, to support their own political beliefs. Now, in order to help us out a little bit, I found this, a media bias chart from All Sides Trademark. And what this is that it shows you generally where the news sources tend to lean. If you look at the L means left-leaning, or in other words, liberalistic or democratic. And then on the right side, you have, the more conservative outlets, the more believed to be more Republican outlets. And then the C means center. That means that these are believed to be more unbiased news sources. So you can see that the more bigger ones, actually, like CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, they're all on the left side, actually. And the only big news sources on the right side is Fox News. Now, I did some investigation for each of these news sources, and I tried to find instances in which they claim that they are actually biased, that they say about themselves, yes, we are biased, we say biased things sometimes. And I found 3 of them. They're the Daily Wire, CBN, and the American Conservative. All these are on the right side, and they all said, yes, we are on the right side. We do report some of our opinion. We are biased sometimes. And I applaud that. I applaud that because they actually have the guts to say, yes, sometimes we throw our opinion in, sometimes we do things our own way. Okay, I applaud that because at least they're being honest. All these other news stations, they're not being honest at all. Now, if you really are bent on finding news sources that have the least amount of bias findable, I would go to PBS News or BBC News. The reason for that is these are widely believed to be the most unbiased news stations out there. BBC News is actually centered in the United Kingdom. It's a United Kingdom broadcast service, not even in the United States. And so they report a lot on the stuff that happens in the United States, and it tends to be that they're less biased than most other news sources. PBS News does actually a lot of world news reporting. They don't report on just what's happening in the United States. They report on the entire world. They spend a lot of time reporting on the entire world, and they have a lot of influence from the United Kingdom as well, and so it tends to be a little bit less biased because they're on an outside point of view. So in closing, we need to support those news channels, those news outlets that are honest in who they are, honest in how biased they're being. We also need to support the news channels that are unbiased. It's very hard to find, but it is possible. In this way, we can have a better society in which everybody's being honest, everybody's being integral, and we can actually know for sure what's happening. We'll know how we should be acting and how we should be voting. I hope you guys like this video. Thank you for watching. This has been Newscast Breaking the News.